State Representative John Patterson in the House this morning. How you doing, John?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good, good.
Always great to be here.
Are you on like a holiday recess right now?
Oh no, I'm going back one more time this week.
Really?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Now, what do you guys do? You and your wife, do you have Christmas at home, or do you go to your kids' places, or?
Well, the boys are coming home.
Oh, okay.
And my wife's parents are deceased.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is still alive.
Okay.
So we'll I have a couple of nieces and their husbands in the area, so we try to get together.
So you have a pretty good crowd there.
Well, we try. It's hard when kids get old and move away. And,
Oh, tell me about it. It's
Yep,
like
yeah.
we dwindled from like 25 to 5, because everybody's moved away and stuff, as they get older and stuff, and make their own lives to go about them. But yeah, we have a small thing at our house this year, Christmas Eve, and then my wife's sister's coming home with her husband, so it'll be fun. I look forward to
Wonderful.
Christmas. I love Christmas. Now, so you have to go back one more time.
yes.
This week.
This week.
And then you're off next?
Couple of weeks until we get sworn in and start in the 131st GA,
Okay.
which is coming in January.
Okay.
January 5th in Columbus, and then we'll see with the new speaker coming in, he will determine a calendar, and we'll get right at it.
What do you got going on down there?
Lots of good things.
Okay.
One thing in particular, and if you check the second page of the Star Beacon today, they do have an article about this. Sales tax holiday. Sales tax holiday. Made it through both houses, and going to be signed into law by the governor. Now let me explain
I
this.
didn't read this.
Okay. I've been working on it quietly, and I'll give you the backstory to it. School time, school shoppers.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this in our district especially, but how many times have we seen caravans cross the border headed for Mill Creek Mall
Mm-hmm.
or Grove City?
Mm-hmm.
And that is money that could stay here and
Right.
help our brick and mortars. So the idea has been around a long time. Senator Bacon, a Republican from the Columbus area, introduced this legislation, and we were working with his office, and this office introduced companion legislation that would allow for a 3-day sales tax holiday. So you would not pay sales tax in August over a Friday, Saturday, Sunday for purchases of clothes for school or school supplies.
Okay.
And rather than getting computers, we've got a little bit of a disagreement there. They didn't want to open the door too much, but there's going to be a 1-year pilot this year to do just that.
Wow.
And I argued for, Senator Bacon introduced the bill in the Senate, I introduced the bill for the House.
Okay.
And in my testimony in committee, I pointed out the fact that geographically, the border districts like ours lose a substantial amount of money, not just during school time, but year-round, as people, when they purchase clothes, will head to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my fellow legislators chided me and said, well, you mean they're avoiding tax? I said, well, yeah, they are, but that's reality. So one way to help, and I had our mall in mind, I had our businesses in Conneaut in mind.
Mm-hmm.
One way to help do that and to stimulate the local economy is to give people a break for that one weekend from sales tax to try to entice them to spend their money here. So it worked its way through the Senate, and Senator Bacon took the lead on it. And Pat, you have to understand something. In my position, I'm one of 39 in the deep minority, and it's soon going to be deeper. There are only 34 on our side of the aisle. I have to be able to work with the majority in a way that benefits my constituents without tripping over my own ego. So in this venue and in others, by working quietly behind the scenes with Senator Bacon,
Mm-hmm.
and convincing people, as I was trying to do, and apparently did, and letting him run with it, we were able to get something accomplished that benefits all of our people.
So that would take effect in
This 2015 is coming up.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
So as soon as the governor signs that, and we expect him
That's
will.
big. That
It
really
is. It is.
You know.
And I'm trying to. It's those sorts of things. However, I can get something done for our people, and there are other things too that benefit our district that are good, solid policy changes. I'm gonna work out in the front, behind the scenes. It doesn't matter to me because it's not about John Patterson. It's about doing what's best for my people.
Let's take this call, John. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, Pat,
Yeah.
they need more jobs in town here. More jobs in Conneaut and Asheville. Look at Kmart, so they closed down.
Right.
They,
Right.
They need more. That's why people going up to Erie to buy clothes. It'd be a lot cheaper.
We understand that, and that's why a lot of people have to go to Ashtabula now because we don't have a Kmart. It's an unfortunate predicament, but yeah, we all want jobs, but it's just not that easy to get them.
Yep. All right, Pat.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's always in the back of my mind. What do we have that can't be outsourced? And I'll give you another bill that came up that I'm excited about that finally passed. You remember when I introduced and it passed through the House Maple Syrup Month?
Yeah.
Well, it went over to the Senate, was altered a bit. It came back to us recently, Maple Syrup Products Month. Okay? The idea is to promote maple syrup. Now, why is that important? And I was talking with Andy and the Video Viper just before I came in. There aren't that many places in the world where maple trees for maple syrup grow.
Right.
And we are one. We are uniquely situated. Did you realize that in the Civil War era, we were #1 in the nation in terms of maple syrup production?
Really?
Now we're #6. But my point is, by promoting that awareness and by raising that awareness, my next step is to, and I've been working with the folks in Geauga and Asheville County to do just this, establish a maple research facility, much like our grape research facility out here in Kingsville, because there are some things that are happening in the maple syrup to make it more efficient, cost efficient, to raise awareness, but things like that will create jobs if we can stimulate the maple industry that can't be outsourced. I'm looking to stabilize the bleeding by creating jobs that cannot leave this area. In addition, working with Growth Partnership and with our 3 port authorities to bring in and attract new industry and business while maintaining that which we have. So it's a complex web.
Yeah. I used to cover, when I was at the newspaper, I would cover the maple processing thing that to do every was it fall, and I used to enjoy doing that. I mean, there's a lot of work involved. I mean, it's amazing, and I to this day do not eat anything but local maple syrup because the other stuff is just too sweet or whatever, you know.
Yes.
It's artificial. But.
Well, Nate Bissell, and there's Nate Bissell, one of my former students, is president now of the Ohio Maple Syrup Producers Association.
Really?
And he is working to create a museum, again locally, but he's also producing a bourbon that is produced. He uses the barrels they're coming from our local distilleries, and has a market for that, made out of maple syrup. So there are all kinds of products that we can make out of this.
Wow.
We're just on the cusp. And part of the problem with maple syrup is getting rid of the water that's in the content. Well, there's new technology to do just that. If we can eliminate it with reverse osmosis system, if we eliminate the water content going in, it takes less energy, less time to boil that sap down into something, and saves money, of course, for that particular purpose.
Have you ever had the chance to go out to the Benson farm out here on Route 7?
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah,
my quick bucket list.
They have been making maple syrup
For
forever
years.
there,
Yeah.
But that's the place I would go, and I'd take the ride out there or walk out
Mhm.
there. I can't remember now; it's been so many years ago. And I'll tell you what, it was absolutely fascinating. And as I mentioned, this is not an easy process. They work very, very hard.
Yes, they
It's
do.
very hard work, you know.
Yes, I know Dr. Meckling out in Pierpont has a
Mhm.
maple syrup
Yeah, yeah.
production facility. So they're here, they're already in production, and let's take those maple syrup producers and allow them to increase their profits and grow businesses and create jobs. Again, it's another component of this complex web that we're trying to put together
Sure.
to stimulate jobs and to bring people back.
Do you think, John, you and I have talked about this over the years, that we will get to the point where we are employing more people, say in Conneaut, just for in general? I know you and I are big on supporting the mom and pop businesses out there, because we know getting a 500 to 1,000 job facility here probably is way out there, you know.
At this point, that is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
I believe I am bullish. I am bullish on our district, and I was fortunate to be able to give a commencement speech, and that's where I ran into Andy Friday night at Kent State, and that was part of my challenge to those new graduates. Let's look at our district, at our county in a positive way, and see what each one of us can do to make a difference right here.
Mhm.
If you look at over the years, the number of students that we have educated in our public schools and at Kent State University, all those tax dollars that were invested, and then we talk about kids leaving, they leave for jobs. That is not a good business model. So again, I come back to the notion that part of the crack in the door is the new technology that allows people to work at home, and we've talked about this, bringing some of those back. But it's also a matter of using those same attributes to the business community. Growth Partnership, the Port Authorities are working overtime to attract new business here to do just that. And we have all these wonderful attributes going to us. And again, I was telling Andy, there are 88 counties in Ohio. Only 7 of them have lakefront property.
Is that what it is?
Think about it. That lake is our most beneficial natural resource. It's not going anywhere, and it's something that anything that we do that can connect with it is not going to be outsourced. We also have the largest inland lake in Ohio, which is Pymatoonie.
Right.
And in our district, we have the largest private lake, which is Roaming Shores. I mean, if you're into water sports, you're into that sort of environment, this is a place to be in Ohio. Again, quality of life. Now, couple that with the infrastructure that we have. I mean, think of how many districts who would give anything to have a major interstate passing through east-west and another north-south, similar to an interstate, Route 11, going north and south. Very few districts have that. We have a wonderful county airport here. We have 2, not 1, 2 Great Lake ports right here. And all of that mix ought to be put together as we are to bring about economic prosperity again. But we have to see the glass is half full. And I'll share a quick story. And here's why it's a grassroots effort, Pat.
Okay.
I heard this story from a reliable source. Some headhunters came out to Asheville County to visit quietly, see what the atmosphere was like, take the pulse of the people. And they went into a local restaurant just to hear, to listen, see what people were thinking. And apparently they asked the waitress what her opinion was. I mean, what's going on here? What's good about this place? And she provided a negative report. There's nothing to do. Talked about the negative side, and they were immediately turned off. We all must believe, because that attitude is contagious. And we never know when we're going to get an opportunity to, in a casual conversation, which is why I shamelessly promote this area in Columbus. You never know what seeds are going to sprout when you plant it. And sometimes lands on fertile ground. Other times, like with this girl's case, it landed on rocky ground.
So they
They didn't come. They didn't come, and that was part of their report, that the initial feedback was that this is not a place where we want to locate. So when they're coming in, what are they looking for? They're looking for quality education. And I'm working with, already laying the groundwork for the next round of meetings with the Education Funding Caucus to change the way we fund education so that these kids do get the best that we can give them. And you can talk to any of the superintendents in the county, they're pulling their hair out now, knowing that the next budget's coming up and they don't know what the state's going to do. But they're looking, when business is coming in there, they want their kids to go to good schools. They want to live in good communities, which is why I've been trying to work, and there's a problem with our hospitals, for example. They want to attract quality physicians. But in addition to attracting quality physicians, I want them to live in this county. And the same is true with the upper echelon, the management positions of some of our factories. A number of them live in Lake County or live in Erie County, and they come here to work. I want them to live here. So we need residential housing that is suitable for that economic structure. Mm-hmm. And again, that's where the lakes come in, because there are some unique positions for that sort of residential opportunity. But we have to, each one of us has to do our part to attract business and industry and to promote this county in everything we do every day.
The thing that kind of bothers me, John, is a lonely waitress would sway those guys, you know, or whoever it was. But
right.
You know, just one opinion. Now they must have had other.
Oh yeah. That was just the one that came back to them and was reported to me. And how much they swayed, I don't know, but it was just another indicator. Mm-hmm. And I know this to be true. Many years ago, I had a contact, reliable contact, that was telling me about a fellow who wanted to bring his, it was a small business, but business nonetheless, into the Jefferson area, and drove around looking at schools. And at that time, Jefferson Elementary was constructed during the Johnson administration, Andrew Johnson.
Oh.
The old part. And we did our best to maintain it and it fit the community, but he found that to be not of his liking, and he relocated elsewhere. Now keep in mind, these people they're looking for tax breaks, they're looking for quality of life,
sure.
All those things. But if we can eliminate some of those reasons not to say no, it's sort of like, and I heard analysis say yesterday with Johnny Manziel's performance, it's not making the big plays, it's limiting the bad plays.
Yeah.
If we can take some of those factors away one by one, then we do get more attention in terms of retaining and attracting new business and industry.
We are getting a phone call. Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, I just had a quick question. I was kind of wondering why the Kent branch has never put in a small dormitory, maybe to attract, you know, out-of-area students without having to hunt all over for an apartment or something. So, thank you.
Okay.
And that has been talk since I was there as a student in the 1970s. Part of it has to do with university policy, and they have been growing. I think they can make a valid claim for that now. And again, if those students were to live there close to the university, it offers more opportunity to stimulate the economy, because they're going to need to be shopping locally too. But it would also allow us to alter the way classes are taught. If you have a captive audience there, more weekend classes would be in order, which would also offer opportunity for some of our non-traditional students, in addition to what they already do have.
The Cleveland Hotel, which is now an apartment complex over on State Street, has been mentioned of late as possibly being kind of like a dormitory setup for college students that can't give them a place to stay, affordable. You know, that is not. I don't believe that's happened yet, but that has been discussed. Even though it's not on campus, it is a place that they could stay.
Right.
You know. Yeah, you're right. That goes back a ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's that particular
Even
scenario.
maybe to the Park Avenue days. Long
Probably.
before your time, of course.
Yeah, right. When I went to Kent, it was that would have been Park Avenue. It was the old brick building there, and
UCLA.
yeah,
University at the corner of Lake Avenue, right?
that's exactly right. Well, that was a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
What else you got going there, John?
Two important things, and
Okay.
I'll address them one at a time. There is, and there was just a compromise reached at 4 o'clock Friday morning on redistricting. It's a complex proposal between the House, the Senate, and we expect the governor to sign this one as a constitutional amendment to be put before the voters.
Okay.
For this reason, and it does not apply to congressional districts. Gerrymandering is it hamstrings the legislature. It truly does. Because, and both parties have done this, by making districts non-competitive. And there are the majority of districts are non-competitive. Those legislators from those districts don't necessarily have to look at issues, view things from the perspective of the minority, knowing that they're not going to pay the price at the polls. Now, our district, thankfully, and I say this thankfully, sincerely, only leans Democratic. It's almost like a 52%, 51.8, 51.9% Democratic index, which means you take the registered voters and their tendencies. It only slightly leans that way, which means for my survival to continue, and I would do this anyway, I have to, and others would have to, look at the whole picture. Who does it benefit, who does it not? Now, why do I say that? Because if you're a legislator who doesn't have to worry about the next election, and there are others like you, then it allows you more freedom to do and pursue legislation that is not necessarily in the middle. And there have been some times when those on the periphery of both parties and their blocs have been able to thwart legislation that would benefit the majority or the threat of that. So again, politics is really about the art of compromise, and the further away from the middle one gets, the less compromise can really take place. So we'll see how that pans out. I definitely support it. In this new plan, no more than 54 districts, and there are 99 in the House, no more than 54 could be loaded in such a way, which would mean that the others would be driven more towards the middle. And that would be good. It's not a perfect system, but it's better than the one we have. So very complicated. It will be explained to the voters, but that's a good step forward. The other thing that I'm particularly proud of is the CAUV, current agricultural use value. It applies especially to our farmers, obviously. That task force that has been meeting since September, we've been able to make some suggestions to the Ohio Department of Taxation. They're taking us seriously. Our group is on the cutting edge. And my challenge to them early on was, we just can't complain, we just can't say no. We have to offer alternatives, suggestions to improve the tax code as it impacts our farmers. That's one of in my opinion, it's the riskiest undertaking going, because you can never count on the weather, growing seasons, market values. And that's part of the reason why in the 1970s, the Ohio legislature and the people of the state, because we approved it in a constitutional amendment, came up with this formula to treat agricultural land differently than residential, because there's so many risk factors involved, we have to keep them going. So this group from Ashtabula County has made a pilgrimage to Columbus. We were able to meet with members of the Ways and Means Committee, and with help from the other side, we've introduced a resolution to raise awareness of this issue and to urge the Ohio Department of Taxation to continue research to improve the system. And that had the support of the Farm Bureau, the Farmers Union, and the Tree Farmers Association.
You got a ton of stuff today.
Exactly. Well, that's what you want me to do, right?
That's right. That's right. I'm amazed. I'm amazed all the different categories that you covered this story. That's fantastic.
We need to get you down to Columbus. We could do a remote from Columbus, perhaps.
Yeah, we could. We could. You stay down there, right?
Yes, I do.
You have an apartment.
Yeah, I do not commute on a daily basis.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a long.
I have the longest commute of anybody in the house.
You got what, 4 hours?
310 without
Yeah.
stops. Now that it's 70, and I do
Mm-hmm.
abide by the speed limit.